Hello and welcome to the Brewster Call, a show where liberty lives, ad hominem dies, and commies need not apply. I'm your host, Jason, and here with me is Shane Trejo. Can you please introduce yourself?
I'm Shane Trejo. I am the grassroots director of the Republicans for National Renewal. I'm also the campaign lead for the Third Term Project. We're an organization, a coalition of different groups that is working to amend the Constitution to get President Trump a third term or work other means to get Trump his rightful third term. So we've just launched this. We're going to have an event coming up on Thursday at CPAC. So just trying to get the word out to the grassroots about what's going on with the Third Term Project.
Interesting. So tell me about this project. I've only read ever so slightly into the constitutional amendment that has been proposed. If my understanding is correct, it'll allow for a cap of 3 terms total, actually no, 2 terms, but they have to be consecutive, which in this case would allow for Trump to run for a third term because he's the second president past Grover Cleveland to serve 2 non-consecutive terms.
Yeah, Representative Andy Ogles of Tennessee introduced the amendment to allow a president to serve as many as three presidential terms, and as long as they're not served consecutively. So, with President Trump's case, he had 4 years off. Not in our opinion, legitimately off, but he did not serve 2 consecutive terms. So now he's serving his second term under Representative Ogle's amendment. He would be able to serve a third term if the public were to deem that democratically acceptable. So you see what President Trump's doing right now. He's really taking the federal government to the cleaners. He's got Elon Musk and Doge wreaking havoc on all these different bureaucracies that have, in my opinion, just feasted on the American people for so long, been so corrupt and incompetent that it's really hard for people to even wrap their minds around the level of evil that's going on at the federal government. So Trump's off to a good start, but we can't take for granted that Trump's going to be able to come in and just sweep all this stuff out in 4 years, even if he is working at such a lightning fast pace. There's so much corruption, it's so deep, and a lot of these people will just go dormant for a while and then just come back in or hope to come back in a future administration. So Trump, having more than 4 years to clean up the mess, I think is something that is very worth looking into. The people should at least have the option. Trump is getting up there. He's getting up to his 80s, but you wouldn't know it by looking at him. You think he's aging in reverse. You'd think he was a man in his 50s or early 60s based on his stamina. And he's a once in a lifetime. Yeah, it's once in a lifetime. Once in a generation type figure. He is. Our one of our banners that we're going to be rolling out at CPAC is going to be President Trump as Caesar. So that's really what we're getting at. We feel like Trump is our Caesar. Trump was just quoting Napoleon, I think, yesterday. So he's our Napoleonic figure that we need to lead us from perdition back into greatness. So we believe that he needs an additional 4 years or more, and we are going to be pushing this idea hard. Trump 2028. That's our mantra, and we know it's going to ruffle some feathers, but good. The feathers need to be ruffled. Trump is coming in and doing unprecedented things, and we need unprecedented measures to help him be as effective as possible in his historic mandate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a very interesting and novel idea, but I am a little bit skeptical, I will admit, because in the past, when we've given the government a right, they very seldom try to give it up. Especially if something like a constitutional amendment, it's a huge deal. I know that the income tax was initially implemented to try to pay for the Civil War, and we still have it. And so the one sort of wall I can see this coming up against is, sure, right now it seems good in trying to get Trump a third term, but who's to say that someone else may not. Here's my hypothetical situation for you. Let's say Gavin Newsom runs, and whatever reason, the public is stupid enough to vote him in. And then he says, I'm serving my 4 years, but I'm not running for reelection. And then someone else comes in. And then he runs for reelection. And you just have continuous, like, non consecutive terms going back and forth. Um, I worry that a constitutional amendment of this variety, especially specifying that there's uh, has to be consecutive, people could kind of take advantage of that.
Maybe, but the way I see it is, to me, there is no difference between, any of the regimes going back to from Lyndon Johnson. Maybe Nixon was a little bit of a departure, but generally speaking, the presidents have just kind of been puppets going back to at least the first Bush. So going back 30 years, I think from Bush to Clinton to Bush to Obama, that was what something like close to 26 years or something like that of basically the same puppet, a different face, but the same agenda. So if you get, a Newsom coming in there and going for 4 years, and Michelle Obama, and then Newsom, and then Michelle Obama, whatever scenario you were describing, it's essentially going to be the status quo. Besides Trump and maybe a handful of other Republicans out there, there's really no difference in any of these people. They're going to be front men for the special interests. They're going to be pushing the globalist agenda. So by allowing Trump to get in there, you're giving a respite from that system, from that corrupt system, from all these different puppets who are willing to support and go along with that corrupt system. So that's the way we see it. Is that by putting in Trump, we're actually giving another choice between besides the puppets that are vying to just be the front man of this system, and that there hasn't been a choice in the past. And by the third term project being successful, we're going to give the public a choice whether they want to go back to the status quo of the way it was, where everything was tightly controlled, and the country was being slowly and systematically destroyed, or do they want a national renaissance with President Trump? That's the choice we're giving people.
Yeah, and I will give you guys props. I mean, it's not like, despite all the branding of saying, "Oh, it's a third term," all you're doing is codifying that a president is limited to two consecutive terms. And so it's really only a case like this, or I mean, if it was Grover Cleveland, I guess. But I suppose the way that you're going about it, the mechanics, is just kind of codifying that two term limit. I was going to say, though, what is the necessity for Trump specifically? And why not pass that along to the next generation? You yourself said that he's old, and I agree. He is very spry, but good things can't last forever. Um, Kind of weigh the pros and cons here about a Caesar Trump or him kind of anointing his successor.
Well, I do like J.D. Vance. I think he's done very good as vice president. I thought it was a great choice. Do I trust him 100%? Not necessarily. He kind of does have more of an establishment background and was a never Trumper for a period. So I don't 100% trust him. I mean, I think he'd be a pretty solid, he's the best idea for a successor that I can come up with. Ron DeSantis would maybe another one, but, he was, very much a guy who was highly revered by the MAGA movement. But then look what happens in 2022. He gets talking to the establishment. They start putting ideas in his ear. "Oh, we'll raise all this money for you. You're the real star of this movement, not Trump. You should be the guy, not Trump." He stabs Trump in the back and runs to try to pull the rug out from under him, and be the savior of the Republican Party for the establishment. Sweep MAGA under the rug and act like 2016 never happened. So if someone like Ron DeSantis gets in there, and I think there are others in the movement who are, similarly Trojan horses for the establishment, that's something that we risk if we don't go with the proven genuine article in Trump. So I think 4 more years of Trump, and then the party will be in such a different situation. The country will be in such a different situation where the establishment will be buried, that I think it'll be easier for a independent-minded Republican, whether it's J.D. Vance or someone else who's coming up the
Vivek.
pipeline right now. Matt Gaetz, maybe, if Matt Gaetz gets in as Florida governor after, or AG of Florida after DeSantis is out, whatever happens there. There are some people who come to mind who would be good successors, but let's give it 4 more years of Trump. Let him finish the job, and then we can talk succession plans.
Okay, so apart from the sheer, you know, the founders made it very difficult to amend the Constitution. Apart from that, what are your roadblocks for getting this thing passed? Are you looking at a convention of states type um, collaboration, or what are you trying to do to get this through?
All of the above. So we're looking at, we're releasing a white paper that really makes the case for giving Trump longer time, additional time to put in place his policies. Talking about Singapore and other countries that had a long, steady hand of leadership, and what a miraculous job it did at turning around corruption in those countries. So Viktor Orban in Hungary being another one. So we're a lot of people say that we need term limits, throw the bums out, but a lot of times when you throw the bums out, you get new bums, or you do get in that one good representative, that one good leader, that one good president, and then he has to go, and then you're back to square one. So term limits aren't always what they're cracked up to be. So we're about looking into every possible avenue to make sure Trump gets his third term. Representative Ogles' amendment is a good start. But yes, we're open to convention of states. Yes, we're talking to different legal experts to see what ways we can, what if there's any sort of workaround, or any sort of things that can be done to make sure Trump gets his third term. We're exploring every avenue. Representative Ogles' amendment, though, proposed constitutional amendment, his resolution, is a great starting point to get the discussion going. But we're going to be building a great deal of scholarship and speaking to legal minds of the MAGA movement to see exactly what can be done, because we want to explore every avenue possible to make sure Trump gets his third term.
Yeah, and I've definitely heard it before that the 28th Amendment is pretty ambiguous when it comes to cases like this where there's non consecutive terms and that sort of thing. Certainly clarifying it would be an interesting ordeal. Um, Anything else that you'd like to share?
Just that, if you want to check out what we're doing, go to thirdtermproject.com, all spelled out. You can sign our petition, get in touch with your congressman, figure out why, they haven't come out in support of this measure. Start building the grassroots groundswell. Let me tell you, it's nothing strikes fear into the hearts of liberals more than the idea of Trump 2028. Their nightmare is, they got 4 more years of this nightmare. Let's make it 8 more years. Let's really, we got them where we want them. We got our foot around the head of the snake. Let's go the extra mile to dismantle leftism and ruin everything that they try to do to our country, destroy our country. And another thing I'd like to mention is that, Joe Biden, as we saw with the January 6th probe, going after his political enemies, turning the nationwide police state that was put into place after 9/11 against the American people. And a lot of conservatives say, oh, we need to reverse those policies. I say, let's wait a second. How about we keep them in place? How about we turn those policies and use those precedents that were set during the Biden administration against the left? Let's start seeing these people who are enforcing these policies, whether it's they're harboring illegal immigrant murderers and rapists, or if they're pushing DEI, anti-white woke insanity in schools, if they're bringing in drag queen trannies to show porno books to children or at libraries. If they're doing these sort of things, hit them with federal charges, make them do a perp walk, do everything that they did to us, only against them for their subversive, immoral, reckless, abusive behavior. Make them go through the ringer the same way we did, and then after that's done, after they're humiliated and disgraced, then we can maybe talk about reversing those policies and going back to the Constitution like we should. But turnabout is fair play. We cannot be weak in this time. We have an incredible opportunity on our hands. The last 4 years of Biden looks so dire. We in Michigan, we were ground zero of the election fraud. We saw all the ballots come in at 3 a.m. They boarded it up. They hauled off Gestapo style. They hauled off all the election inspectors and all the poll challengers who were objecting to the steal as it was happening. It seemed dire. It seemed like something that we couldn't overcome, but we overcame it. President Trump's in office. He's putting his pedal to the metal. Let's give him 4 more years. Let's finish the job. Let's not succumb to the fear or the gaslighting that people will tell us, weak conservatives who want to go back to the Bush era, leftists who take every power grab that they can, but then will wag their finger at us. So that's against your principles. Well, our principles are to restore the republic, a national renewal, and that means making sure that the left is dispatched. And we need Trump 2028 to make sure that's done. So if you like what you're hearing right now, go to thirdtermproject.com and we'll get you in the movement. And we will take this as far as we need to make sure Trump gets his third term.
Yeah, well, it's definitely an interesting thing. I'd say that there is a case to be made that if bullies messing with you on the playground, you punch them in the face and they stop bullying you. I wish you good luck. All the leftists are gonna scream, but I think what you're doing is interesting, and it has a very good. It's coming from an interesting place. You want to make sure that the right the right policies are implemented, and I think exploring as many opportunities as you can to get that done is a pretty good way to make America great again.
Absolutely. And, this is definitely something that, I think we need to do right now. And, desperate times call for desperate measures. If you look at, what happened, though, I mean, even if you look at the U.S. Constitution, and, it wasn't the founding fathers who put into place presidential term limits. That came many years later. And if you look at what FDR did, and then I'm not an FDR fan, but when he was in office for I think it was almost 4 terms.
He was elected for a fourth term, but everyone knew that he was out the door and basically about to die.
Yeah,
So they really made sure to choose a vice president, knowing that he would probably assume office, and that's how you get
exactly. So
Truman.
yeah, about over 3 terms, and if you look at what he was able to accomplish in over 3 terms, it changed the trajectory of the whole country. He was able to fundamentally change what America was all about in those years. And we may not like a lot of those fundamental changes. Went from more toward freedom to more toward socialism. But it just shows you what a president can do if they have 3 terms or more. They can really completely change the foundation of the country, and that's what we need right now. The left overturned every institution. They made a mockery. You saw what they did to the statues of our heroes. They totally were on a collision course to bulldoze everything America was all about, and they did a lot of damage. We can reverse that damage, but only with a strong executive who has 3 terms to be able to reverse course. So why risk it? Let's make sure that Trump has a chance to do the fundamental changes to our country back to restore the republic for a national renewal. Why risk it? Let's go with the proven commodity, Trump 2028.
Yeah. Well, there is one thing that I'll push back on you on a little bit. You're talking a lot about dispatching the left and making sure that their ideology
Yes.
is unable to infect our institutions. But I think there is an important case to be made of trying to convert people. I think a lot of people, especially my age and younger, are very lost and very brainwashed. And in fact, I used to be one of them. And I think it's important to also give a hand of, hey, they don't like you, they're manipulating you emotionally, you should come to our side. Just like earlier you said you're skeptical of JD Vance because he was a never Trumper. I think there should be redemption, and I think that he would be a perfect replacement for Trump in maybe 2032 if this plan goes according to everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Trump brought a lot of people over into the coalition. He brought on, Gen Z males, Latino males. Counterintuitively, you would have thought that, oh, Trump's going to alienate Latino males because he wants to build a wall and do mass deportations. But they came on board because they liked Trump's strength. That Trump was a strong leader. Trump was kicking ass. He wasn't bullshitting the people. He was coming out there and telling the truth as he saw it, telling his perspective as he saw it. He was authentic. So I think the more we fight the left and the more authentic that we are, the more that we stand up to them, and they're going to wilt under the pressure. They're going to double down as we see them doing right now on some of their crazier policies that are unpopular. So
I
they're
love.
they're already too far gone into their woke insanity. So just keep the pressure on them, and they will keep melting. And then even people on that side, they'll start. They're already infighting more. In Michigan, we're seeing the far leftists and the less far leftists are now fighting on Twitter. They're doxing each other, and all of us are just sitting back and laughing. The same way they were sitting back and laughing at us 4 years ago when we were fighting on election fraud type stuff and spiraling out of control on the right. So now the shoe has flipped. We just have to keep the pressure on, and no one keeps the pressure on better than Trump. Trump will cause these people to self-immolate, and he'll cause them to completely lose their minds. And then they'll start alienating people. They'll start attacking their own, and that will then make people come over. Maybe the right wing isn't so crazy after all. So I think you definitely need to engage people, talk to people on the issues that matter to them, and extend the olive branch when possible. But you can't do that by being weak. You have to be strong. You have to stand up to the left. You have to expose them, and then I think they'll fall apart. And then that you can people will be kind of shaken free from the mind virus that's overtaken them on the left.
Yeah, and I mean, he said "So help me God" and then started signing executive orders. I think he's going so fast that the left doesn't even know what to be mad about at this point. And it would be very interesting to see another 4 years of that if everything goes. Just plug your website once more, so if anyone wants to support you.
Okay, if you want to check out the Third Term Project, go to thirdtermproject.com, sign up to support Rep. Andy Ogles' resolution to give Trump a third term and allow presidents to serve two non consecutive terms. Also, you can go to Republicans for National Renewal at rnrenewal.org. We're going to be endorsing strong, principled, constitutional Republicans and populist Republicans at the state level, at the school board level, and at the U.S. Congressional level. So we'll be issuing those endorsements. We're vetting candidates right now. We're supporting the best of the best as we have since our inception in 2020. So go to rnrenewal.org. We also have resolutions that are popping up. We're about to unveil our resolution in favor of the U.S. annexing Greenland, so that if you're a committee man, if you're a precinct delegate, if you're on a district committee, a county committee, a state committee, and you're a GOP, and you want to do something to make a stand, if you want to push the right agenda from the bottom up, then you can take our resolutions and you can go and you can introduce them in your committees, and you can help move the party in the right direction from the grassroots level. That's what we're there to do. That's what I'm there to do as the grassroots director. So check out rnrenewal.org and sign up and get in contact with me, and we'll put you to work in a way that will help save the country from the bottom up.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Shane, for coming on to the Brewster Call. And for everyone watching, be sure to spread the calling. God bless you.
Thank you.